This episode contains adult language and topics that may be disturbing for some listeners. Such topics include suicide, drug use, physical or sexual abuse of a child. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, I'm Grant.
And I'm Erica.
And this is
From Crime to Crime.
Welcome back to From Crime to Crime.
Hey, buddy. We had such a good weekend magnet fishing at Lake Mead.
We had a great time magnet fishing, and we almost came up with the big one.
Yep. We were like an hour too early. We left at like 10 o'clock, and they found another body in a barrel at like 11.
That's crazy.
In the exact spot we were in.
We were in the exact spot we needed to be. We have pictures of where we were swimming out and stuff and throwing our magnets and trying to find. We found barrels, but we weren't in the right spot.
Yeah, we found plenty of barrels, but none had bodies. It's like the new sport around here is going to Lake Mead and seeing what you can find.
Well, it was pretty fun, so I'm glad we have our magnet fishing sets and we can do it again.
Yep.
We need a boat next time, though. I think we're missing the boat. If we can find a boat or kayaks or something like that to get us out into the water.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to buy kayaks before you come out again.
Well, perfect. Then we'll definitely be able to get it.
Yep. All right. Well, today we are going to talk about a Jane Doe from our neck of the woods. She's from where we're from. Well, we don't know where she's from, but
she was found where we're from.
Yeah. Part of the reason why we're doing a Jane Doe this week is because we're going to be starting a new TikTok series called The Doe You Know. So if anybody's interested in these John and Jane Doe cases that we do every once in a while, like I said, we're going to be starting a TikTok series about John and Jane Does, because a lot of them don't have enough information for a full podcast episode.
And you can follow us at From Crime to Crime on TikTok and Instagram.
And then I think we have a Twitter, but Grant doesn't do it. And
we definitely have a Twitter.
I make a fake one, and then I have no followers.
So that's true. There are definitely two Twitters. One is fake and one is real. So if you do want to follow us on Twitter, From Crime, the number 2 crime. So From Crime to Crime, but number 2.
And the fake one is crime_from.
So if you go there, you might see some online bullying going on, and it would be Erica. So
yeah, I was going to say, it's not really technically fake. I mean, it's me. I just made it for one specific reason.
Yeah, absolutely. It's in use, but
yeah,
it's to bully, so stay out of her way.
All right, so the case today takes place Labor Day weekend 2009. So Jason Aldean's big green tractor was number 1, just so you know. We'll just get that right out of the way.
Yeah, well, I don't know why, but every time I forget that you're going to give me that anyway, so I do think it's funny every single time. So
I know. So in Orange County that weekend, people were at the river, spending the day at the beach, barbecuing, or mostly everybody in Orange County is at the street fair Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, 2009, I can almost guarantee that's where I was.
Yeah, that's where we were for sure.
Thank you for telling me where I was.
Yeah. But a guy named John, who was the vice president of sales and marketing at a company called Pasternak Enterprises, is obviously a workaholic, because instead of being at the street fair, he was headed into the office to catch up on some work while everybody was away for the long weekend. And the commercial complex that his company was in was right off the 405 and the 55 by John Wayne Airport. And we're pretty familiar with Irvine and this area. So on a holiday weekend, or any weekend for that matter, those commercial complexes are usually like a ghost town. There's nobody around.
100%. All over the place.
Yeah.
There's just nobody around. During the week, they're packed full of people all over the place. But yeah, during the weekend, it's pretty bare.
Some of the bigger companies have like security that drives around and stuff, but a lot of the smaller ones don't. So when John pulled in, he was the only person there. And when he pulled into the parking lot, he saw something terrible. In the middle of the parking lot, he saw the charred body of a woman lying face down, almost in like a fetal position.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so he drove a few spaces past her and pulled into a spot and called 911 right away.
You're just going in to get some work done, like no big deal, and you get this. Like, it's a good thing he did, because like we said, it was a long weekend. If nobody had gone in, or if he hadn't gone in, nobody would have gone in until Tuesday that next week.
Yep. So when the authorities arrived, they started trying to identify her and put together what had happened to her. From her body, they discovered that she'd been beaten, strangled, and then set on fire in the parking lot.
Oh my gosh. So everything happened in the same location. They don't think she was dumped. They think it all happened there.
Well, they don't know if she was beaten and strangled there, but she was set on fire in that parking lot,
Right.
in that
Okay.
spot where she was found.
Okay.
So they also surmised that she was young, probably late teens, early 20s, black, about 6 feet tall, and 150 pounds, which is pretty thin for being that tall.
Absolutely, yeah.
She had both of her ears pierced, but no earrings. And her hair was short and curly, maybe 3 inches long or so. And she had no tattoos. So, like I said, the authorities believe she was set on fire in the parking lot in the same position that she was found in based on like the burn patterns of her clothes and stuff.
Man.
And it was probably sometime between 11 p.m. and like 8:30 a.m. that morning when John found her, because the cleaning crew from the office complex left at 11, and obviously there was no body in the parking lot when they left.
Okay, so you said that like from the burn pattern on her clothes and whatnot, was there any kind of like accelerant with her or anything like that to kind of make those burn patterns? Because I would think that would play a role in it.
Yeah, so fire investigators estimated that less than a gallon of gas was used to burn her body.
Wow.
And the fire probably burned itself out. Like it wasn't put out by anybody.
Probably wasn't very long, but it was probably very hot.
Yeah, and they also found a blue lighter near the body.
Like just a regular old Bic kind of one?
Yeah, just a blue
Okay.
lighter.
Yeah.
Some of the clothing that she was wearing was able to be identified, like some animal print shorts that were multicolored and a black camisole blouse, and what was left of a bra and a black skirt, and a pair of women's size 10 black strappy, like 6-inch heels that had like zippers on them.
Oh.
They were very like unique almost. Like if you knew somebody with those shoes, you'd be like, oh, those are Susie's shoes. Like, I know those
Yeah.
shoes.
Yeah, they sound like they would stand out. And, obviously with her physical stature, she would probably stand out as well.
Yeah, because with those shoes on, she would have been like 6'6".
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
to give that kind of a comparison, I know Kobe's 6'6", Michael Jordan's 6'6", so pretty tall. Obviously 6'6" is not short, and she would definitely have to literally stand out in a crowd.
Yeah. And those shoes were the only identifiable tag or like brand name that was left on any of her articles. Like everything else had been burned off or maybe wasn't there to begin with. They were Glaze brand and they were manufactured by a company called Elegance Enterprises.
Is that like a common brand? Like, would that be sold at Walmart? I don't know. I haven't heard of that brand. So, like, is that like a Nordstrom purchase or what?
No. From everything I've read, it's like a discount shoe brand. They sell to like discount shoe stores.
Okay, that makes sense.
So they were also able to pull unknown male DNA from underneath her fingernails.
Wow.
But they ran it and they got no hits.
Wow.
So that was kind of a dead end. But what they didn't find at the scene was kind of sucky. I mean, they didn't find a purse. They didn't find a wallet. No phone, no ID. Nothing that would tell them who their victim was.
That makes sense, though, if she's a teenager, like,
Yeah.
no ID.
does.
Like, teenager wouldn't have any kind of ID or anything like that.
Yeah, it does get harder to believe that she's older when you start thinking about there being no record of her.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard to like never have had a driver's license. Like if you're an adult, you've done certain things that make a footprint of your life, a paper trail of your life.
You would have had to. I mean, in most circumstances, like I still think that there's, those underground sex trafficking rings where people exist but are not on any kind of documents, no matter how old they are.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible to. I'm just saying it's very unlikely.
Yeah.
Especially as we get in some of the details of her. She doesn't seem like she's in a sex trafficking ring.
Oh.
So, well, I mean, she had no tattoos.
Oh, yeah. And usually in sex trafficking rings, they get a certain kind of brand tattoo on them for obvious reasons.
Yeah. So they canvassed local motels and hotels, gas stations, stores. I mean, like we said, she was a 6-foot tall woman wearing 6-inch heels. Like somebody should have been like, oh yeah, I saw her.
Yeah.
Like that stands out.
Absolutely. Anybody who's 6'6" stands out.
Yeah, but nothing. No one recognized her. Nobody was like, oh yeah. Even if they didn't know who she was, nobody was like, oh yeah, she was in here yesterday. So they tried surveillance cameras in the commercial area and at local gas stations to see if they could see any cars being weird or people buying gas like in a gallon or a bottle or something to take it with them. But no luck. just nothing.
Hmm.
But luckily, her face hadn't been burned too severely, and she was still recognizable. So they were able to make a composite sketch and push her description to local media and all that kind of stuff. And they printed out flyers with this sketch and handed them out everywhere. Still nothing. Like, all
Wow.
of this leads to nothing.
So it would make you think that she may not be from the Orange County area.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, that's kind of what
possible.
I would think. I mean, honestly, like somebody standing at 6'6" in these shoes would stand out.
Yeah.
Okay, so her face wasn't burned too badly. So, like, what about her dental records? Were they able to pull anything of that from her teeth?
Yes, they checked her dentals, and it appeared she had never had any dental work done in the past.
Ever?
Yeah, there was no evidence of fillings
Wow.
or any kind of dental work. And her records didn't match any in their databases or any of the like access that they had to any local dentists or anything like that. So the dental records led nowhere.
Yeah.
So they checked with local ERs and urgent cares to see if anybody came in with like burns on their hands. Like maybe the perpetrator burned
Right.
himself when he was trying, but nothing.
Wow. Okay, so were they able to take her fingerprints and DNA or anything like that from the body if it wasn't?
Yes, they did. They were able to get her fingerprints and her DNA, and it was run through their systems, and she'd never been arrested, and there
Okay.
was no DNA matches or anything, which is another reason why it's like, I don't know about if she was a sex worker, it doesn't feel like she had been doing it for that long.
Yeah.
Because she's never been arrested. She doesn't have any tattoos. She's never been arrested. It feels hard to believe that she was involved in any kind of sex trafficking ring or sex work. And if she was, it couldn't have been for very long.
So when we say she's, late teens, are we thinking she could be as young as 16, or like are we thinking she's probably closer to like 19, 20?
I'm not sure. Based on her height, I would say like 18, 19,
Okay.
but
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know. But some people maybe 6 feet tall at 16. I don't know. I've never
Totally.
been lucky
Close to
enough
that.
Not even close.
Not even
So
on
I
a
have no
ladder.
idea. Yeah. Yeah. Height feels like a foreign. I can't even do enough research on height to speak on that topic. So I don't know. But I don't know too many 16-year-olds that are 6 feet tall.
No, definitely not.
But on the other hand, I do know a couple. So
And in girls, typically they get taller sooner than later, so you would think, so I mean, that I think doesn't really rule her out age-wise, because she could have been very tall at 14 and then that was it.
yeah. So of course, until they identify her, they don't know. It's all
Right.
a guess. But she's young. I mean, she's not 50.
Yeah,
she was
definitely.
a young woman. So they're left with what was on her when she was murdered, because fingerprints, dentals, DNA of her and what could be the perpetrator under her fingernails, like nothing was a hit. So they're left with only what was with her when she was murdered. And like we mentioned, the only thing that they could really identify was those shoes. So they were Glaze brand, size 10, like we said. So they checked with the manufacturer. Then the manufacturer told them all the retail stores that sold these type of shoes, including the online retailers, but nobody recognized her. Like, they went to the retail stores and they were like, do you know this lady? And they're like, no. Which I don't know that they would remember somebody buying one pair of shoes.
Right. Although those are very specific shoes, and she was a very specific type of person. So she
Yeah.
would stand out being so tall.
Yeah, but like at a Ross, are they going to remember her? Like, she's going to walk up to the counter with a pair of shoes and pay for them and leave. Like, I mean, it's not like these shoes are being sold at a store where an associate is helping you try them on and
Yeah.
having a conversation with you. You know what I mean? Like, it makes sense that nobody remembered her.
Yeah,
like, because of
okay.
the type of stores that these
Right.
shoes are sold in.
Okay. Yeah, I gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah. So once again, dead end. Just no trace of her.
So, like, they have no idea who this woman is. She just, or a person, well, I mean, it's a woman, but it's a young girl. This young girl is, she just kind of showed up. That's it?
That's it. They're just like at a dead end. They tried everything.
Like, I know we still have missing people and, like, unsolved cases and stuff like that, but it just seems like anything that happens in 2000 anything, we should be able to solve.
Yeah.
It's crazy when you hear these stories and they're like, oh, that's recent, and we still don't know who that person is. Like, which
Right.
takes me down these rabbit holes of people who are, again, born into kind of not born into society, and then never really join, if you know what I mean. They don't have names, or like they don't have social security cards. Like, they're not an identified part of society. You know what I mean?
Right, but there's other explanations for it, too. Like, she could have been from out of the country, so
Yeah.
there wouldn't be a record of her if she just got here.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess so. Yeah,
There's
okay.
a lot of other explanations than your... I know you love that sex trafficking theory. Like, that's your bread and butter. You use it on every Jane Doe.
Well, it's
But
because
it's
it's how
not-
it can solve so much, and it makes sense.
Right, but when they do solve them, that's almost never the story. So, in fact, I can't think of one case that's ever been the story. So... This is like something you made up in your head.
It's completely that. And I've just
I know that.
logged onto it. It's
I know,
totally
you lock onto it super hard. So I'm going to try to go through other things that it could be.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I'm not trying to be like mean or anything, but it's like, that's not.
You're not? Hang on.
No.
Let me pull up
I'm
the
not.
comment.
I'm just trying to come up with other explanations, like the fact that her parents could be deceased, so they're not looking for her. She could have been a kid in the system. Her parents are in jail or passed away, and she aged out of foster care and
Totally. That
was
could
just
definitely
on
be.
her own. Like
Yeah.
there's a
Yes.
lot of things that it
Yeah.
could be.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
I still like mine the most because it's it's the most out there one. But yeah, no, you're probably right. There probably are a lot of other reasons.
I feel like you like that theory because that answer wraps everything up in a neat, tidy bow and you love solve things.
I have to have it solved.
I know you do.
So I like to solve it that way. And then it's solved and I can move on with my night.
Right, but sometimes it's not so neat and tidy. And I think you like it that way because there's a clear bad guy on how this person slipped through the cracks.
Yeah, I want someone to be mad at. That's true too.
Yeah, and when it's just sucky circumstances and somebody slips through the cracks, like a system that's broken or parents that don't take care of their kids, like that's hard to think about. It sucks.
That hurts my
But
heart.
it happens.
Yeah.
But it does happen.
Well,
A lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all right, guys. Well, that's it. We just don't know. So thanks for tuning.
No. There's more. There's more.
There's more to what? You just said we don't know anything else.
Well, we don't know anything else about Jane Doe. But
Okay.
a year after her body was found, in November of 2010, the unknown male DNA from under her fingernail scrapings hit.
What?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It hit? Okay. All right. Okay. So who did it come back to? What did it hit on?
So the DNA hit on a guy named Zenaido Baldivia Guzman. Yeah, he was from Santa Ana, and he had been arrested on a domestic violence charge. And so his DNA was put in the system and...
Wow.
hit. Yep. So Zenaido was from Santa Ana, which is right down the road from where this woman's body was dumped in Irvine.
Do you think it's Zunito?
Well, it's spelled Zenaido, so I'm going with Zenaido.
Okay.
And if he doesn't want it to be pronounced Zenaido, he shouldn't spell it Zenaido. Why? Is Zenito a name?
I have no idea. I'm really enjoying this.
Okay. So he confessed. This Zenaido Guzman confessed almost immediately when he was confronted about this. He's just like, yep, I did that.
Wow.
But he also said that he didn't kill her alone.
Oh.
His brother, Gabino Baldivia Guzman, also helped him kill her.
Okay. Did they explain why?
Yes.
Okay.
They pick up Gabino, and he also confesses, and their stories pretty much match up. They said they were drinking Friday night, September 4th, somewhere in Santa Ana, and they decided they wanted to go out and pick up a sex worker.
Together?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I think there's more going on with these brothers than I'm comfortable with, but... Let's keep going because there's way more problematic shit that goes on here. So they leave wherever they're drinking in their work van, and they say they came across a woman who matched Jane Doe's description. 6 foot something, black woman. So Gabino says that he negotiated the terms of their arrangement, like from the driver's seat, and she agreed on the terms, and she got into the passenger seat of the van. But when she got in, she was unaware that Zenaido was in the back.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so the brothers say that when this little shocking detail comes up, that there's 2 of them, they say that she got really upset and wanted out. She's like, this is not what I agreed to. This is a totally different situation. I'm not comfortable with it. Let me out.
They confessed to, like, her just being like, yeah, she hated the whole thing, and we just kept going.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so they were not going to let her out because they were like, nah, we're doing this. She started screaming, obviously trying to get out of the van. This is when the brothers say they pulled her into the back seat and they started hitting her to get her to comply with them and stop screaming. But they both say that when she started to fight back because they were beating her, she was a lot stronger and had a lot more fight in her than they had anticipated. And they had to strangle her to get her to stop, which is when a bone in her neck broke and killed her.
Man.
So.
What, like, all for what? Like, because you and your drunk brother wanted to have a freaking weird three-way?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like, what a confession, you know? Like, yeah, me and my brother decided we were going to have sex together.
Yeah, like you're confessing to murder, which is terrible enough, but then also to like doing weird sex stuff with your brother. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, to incest. Yeah. It's uncomfortable all the way around.
I would have taken that to the grave. I would have been like, I don't know what you're talking about. So
that does not go anywhere.
Yeah. So the brothers admit that they didn't know what to do after they had killed her. So they just drove to this empty parking lot and used a can of gas that they already had in their work van.
Oh, my God.
To light her body on fire and try to get rid of evidence and try to make her ID a little bit harder. And they also tossed her personal belongings, like her cell phone and stuff, out the window somewhere.
This is absolutely wild.
They confessed that they murdered her, but they don't know who she is either. So we have an answer, but not to who she is.
Whew. That's bananas.
Yeah, which is kind of another really shitty thing. It's like, okay, you murdered her and you didn't want the police to be able to identify her. Like, you didn't take a peek at her ID or anything before you got rid of it. Like, you sure you don't know who she is?
Or like you didn't exchange names. Like, don't you open up with like, hi, I'm Gabrielle, or whatever her name would be?
I'm not certain that sex workers always use their real names, though, but
still, a name to start somewhere.
Yeah, it would have been a lead.
You know, so,
Yeah. So the brother...
Right. She could have gone by Stardust, and maybe somebody down, down in Long Beach knew who Stardust was.
Right. So the brothers plead not guilty at trial because the state was...
What?
Yeah.
They admitted it.
Yeah, I know. But so they tried them separately, and the state tried them for like first-degree murder or premeditated murder. So they pled not guilty because their defense is that we didn't premeditate it. It just happened. And the state's argument is that they went out willingly looking for a sex worker to murder. Like, they chose to do that, so it's premeditated.
Oh, wow.
So they plead not guilty. So there's no question of who did it. Everybody's in agreement of who did it. But the state wants first-degree murder, and they were like, no, we're not pleading to that because we didn't plan it. Which it's like, okay, this feels like semantics, but okay.
It does feel like semantics, but obviously it comes down to, the charges that they're able to get. First degree, I would assume, comes with the death penalty, even though it's California and, there's whatever going on with that. But I would think second degree, does that come with what, like up to 50 years in prison or something?
Yeah, it's significantly less time, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So they're not going to plead to first degree murder because they're like, no, we didn't premeditate it. So they go to trial anyway. Well, they're tried separately, and Zenato goes to trial first.
Was he the leading guy, or was it his brother? Was it both of them equally?
I feel like it was both of them equally, but Zenato was the one who was in the back seat. Gabino was the one that was driving.
Gotcha. Okay.
So Zenato went to trial in 2016, and it ended in a mistrial because the jury couldn't decide either if it was first degree or
That's stupid.
Uh-huh. So then...
Like, that's really, really dumb. Like, okay, we'll just go with the lesser one then.
No, because they can only do that if the state presents that. Like, if the state presented first and second degree, they could go with second degree. But the state only presented first degree. That's the same shit why Casey Anthony got off. Because they wanted murder charges. They didn't give the jury any other option.
I see. Okay. Yeah. All right. I gotcha. I'm on the same page. I get you.
So his trial ends in a mistrial. Then Gabino was supposed to go to trial later that year, but that's it. That's all the public information that's available.
It just stops?
Yeah. The mistrial happened in 2016 for Zenato, and Gabino never went to trial. And there's a lot of rumors on the internet and everything that the charges were dropped and they were released and deported and all kinds of speculation on the internet, but there's nothing about a retrial. There's nothing about Gabino's trial being postponed. Nothing. It's just like that was the end of the story. In 2016, which is already 5 years after they were arrested. 6 years after they arrested.
Wow. I hate that answer. Like, I don't like when this kind of stuff happens. I hate it. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah, well, good.
Yeah, me too. So that didn't satisfy me. Every other podcast and news article about this and everything, it's like, that cannot be the end of it. So I dug a little bit deeper because I'm like, these guys better not have been released.
Yeah.
And I did find that they have not been released. They are still in custody in the Orange County Superior Court system.
Well, that's at least a positive.
Yeah. So it turns out that some of that is true. The mistrial, everything, all that is true. And the last known anything was from Zenado's trial in 2016. And there has been nothing, absolutely nothing, for like 5 or 6 years. No preliminary hearings, nothing. But just recently, they added to the Orange County Superior Court's case calendar the retrial of Zenado. And it's supposed to start on October 11th, 2022.
No kidding.
Yeah. And on the court calendar, it says that he is in custody. It says that he's remanded. So it doesn't look like he's been released. And now they do have a new retrial for the mistrial on the books for October 11th of this year.
Wow. They were not speedy to get to this at all.
No. And they still haven't.
Obviously, COVID was in the middle of it too, but like.
Yeah, but
still,
this was like 4 years before COVID.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, they were just like, nah, we'll get to it when we get to it.
Right.
And it's not on the forefront of our mind. Thanks.
Right. And Gabino has still never been tried. So he's been in jail since 2011, and he's never gone to trial.
Is that legal?
I don't know. The only thing I could think is that he's the one that's postponing it, because you have a right to a speedy trial. Like, that feels...
Right, yeah. That's kind of why I asked.
Yeah, but I did see like I said, on the court's calendars, a pre-trial hearing is set for Gabino on September 30th of this year. And it also says that he is still in custody. So
I wonder if there had to be like some kind of appeal done, or like
I don't know.
in between lawyers, or what was going on there. That's just really strange for it to be lasting that long.
Yeah, I literally, there's nothing. Like, even on all the like history of what's going on with this case on the court's calendars, all the arraignments, everything that's like listed, it like all stops in 2016, and there's like been nothing from 2016 until this, and now there's these new dates for the new trials. So I don't know what they like got lost for like 6 years.
Well,
I don't know.
If there's two people that get lost in the system for 2 years, it's okay that it's these guys, right? You know, they already admitted to it, so.
Yeah. I just thought the court part of this case is really troubling.
Oh, absolutely.
So anyway, we know who killed her. There's been no justice, and she's still unidentified. So this whole thing is not great.
It's absolutely bonkers that they know who killed her, but they don't know who she is that they killed.
Yeah. And they still haven't gone to trial for killing her.
Right.
And it's been 13 years. Whoa. Well, I mean, Zenado went to trial and it was a mistrial, but he hasn't been retried.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
This case is actually, because I remember hearing about it and stuff, but obviously I haven't been following it. This is a lot more interesting than I had any idea about.
Yeah. So if you guys want to check out pictures of these shoes that are pretty unique, or the composite sketch or anything like that, go to our Instagram and see if you recognize her. Like we said at the beginning, guys, also, if John and Jane Doe cases interest you or get your wheels turning like they do ours, like, we're going to be starting a TikTok series about some of these Jane Doe cases that don't have enough for a full episode. Like, they don't have killers who confess and then don't ever go to trial.
Yep. Come check out our TikTok for the latest John and Jane Doe cases. And lots of other fun stuff. We're sharing lots of other stuff. We're lots of fun other stuff on there too now.
Well, we're trying.
Yeah, we're getting it going. So awesome. Well, hey, this was really interesting. Thank you for sharing it with me again and going into much more detail than I realized I needed. This was awesome. And I can't wait to come back out there again and try to find the next set of dead bodies with you.
Yeah, you got to come back because you left your metal detector and your magnet.
I know. I got to get back. Christine was rushing me out the door. I just forgot.
That's okay. Now I have 2 magnets.
Yeah, you can make Matt go. He'll be real happy with me for leaving it there.
Yep. So, all right, guys. All right. Well, I hope you have a good week.
I hope so too. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Love you.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye.